Hi, it's Alicia from My Work Basket. Today I'm going to show you how to do the puff stitch in crochet. This is a stitch that's somewhat common. There's a lot of patterns out that use it. And I have a pattern coming out that will be using it. So what I've done so far is I just used some worsted weight yarn, and this is a G-size hook, and I crocheted 11 chain to get started. It is a puffy stitch, so usually there's going to be spaces between them. So to get started, we're going to yarn over once, and your pattern will tell you where to put your stitch. And notice my chain stitch right here is also kind of loose. I'm going to go into the third chain. So I read this loose. I'm going to go into that chain. I'm going to pull up the yarn, and I'm going to pull that up so that it's also loose. And I'm going to yarn over again and go into that chain and pull it up. And I'm going to do that even one more time. You're going to have 7 loops on your hooks. So see 2, 4, 6, and 7. And they're all nice and loose. You're going to yarn over once, and you're going to go through all of those. And then you're going to yarn over and go through that loop again. And that's to help chain this puff together on top. So usually, and again, your pattern will tell you, but usually you're going to end up skipping some variety of space unless you're making something very bulky. So I'm going to skip one chain. I've got yarn over, go into my loop, pull up, make that nice and loose, yarn over, go into my loop, pull up, yarn over, go into my loop, pull up, 7 stitches again, yarn over, pull through all of them, and then yarn over and go through that. So that's 2 puff stitches there. Now, one thing that I do like about this is that if you kind of stop paying a little bit of attention, or you space out, or you're a beginner, and say that you accidentally get a little bit carried away and you do too many yarn overs, you do too many puffs, unless you really do a pretty drastic amount, it's not all that noticeable. So you can see here I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 loops, and if I yarn over and go through all of them, that puff stitch is not that ridiculously different. So I feel like it's a little bit more relaxing in that you're doing something repetitive, but also if you do one too many, it's not the end of the world. Now, if you do quite a few too many, that puff stitch will be quite a bit bulkier. So again, I'm going to yarn over, go in, pull it up. And it's very important that you pull it up. Seven loops on the hook, yarn over through all of them. Now, this is a real yarn eater, so you're going to be using a lot more of a yarn with anything with this pattern than you would with a traditional double crochet or a single crochet. I like it for a lot of one skein projects. I have a cowl pattern that will be releasing, and it's kind of the same thing, that like it makes one very thick stitch. And I'll show you when I have this row finished. Make sure I get this last stitch done. So you can see, even with that chain between, they're very close together. It's also very thick and puffy here. And you have this nice row of chains to work on top of for the next row. So your pattern will tell you where to put your next row of stitches, but I'm going to show you for the sake of it. So I'm going to chain 3 just to go up a level. Some patterns will have you go into this chain right above your puff to do another row of puffs. Oops. And I'll show you again on this one. So I'm going to skip this space. If it tells you to go into the chain above, you're going to go right here above your stitch. And you're going to do the same pull up as you did before. And that's how they'll look if they're staggered one on top of the other. Now, some patterns will also have you go between the loops I'll show you a few to show you how that looks. So if it says on top of, you'd be going into this chain. But if it says between, you're going to go into this gap. And I think both ways look very nice. It's just a matter of what your pattern wants you to do. Yarn snagging a bit here. So you can see, this is how they look when they're one on top of the other. And this is going to be how they look when you stagger them. And your pattern, again, will tell you where to put it. So that's how you do the puff stitch. You can see it's a very thick stitch. Lots of patterns use this. Like I said, it's not an uncommon stitch by any means. It's a pretty fun and relaxing stitch in my opinion. So hopefully that helps you with any projects that you need the puff stitch for, whether it be my pattern or somebody else's. And if you have any questions about how to do a particular stitch, leave it in the comments below and let me know, and I will try to do my best to do a stitch tutorial to help you. So happy crafting, and be sure to visit my work basket for more tutorials and free patterns.